If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I post a new Tom Brady video every day.
Mike, you've played in 3 Super Bowls. You won all 3. If you were to be in the Super Bowl right now and you're down 5 with a minute and a half left and you got to go 80 yards, do you want right now this season your quarterback to be Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady?
I want it to be Tom Brady.
Still?
Period.
How come?
Right now. Ultimately, Cal, these moments are made on the certain moments that you can make that play when you have to. Don't tell me about what Tom did. Tell me about, did he do what he needed to do to win the game? And the answer has been yes, to the tune of him in his 10th Super Bowl. That's all I want. Aaron Rodgers been in one. Because somewhere along the line, he didn't make the right decision. It's about decision making. We just get caught up on talent.
Are both considered by many to be the GOAT in their respective sport. Both have multiple MVPs. Both have 6 championships. Michael Jordan has the record for most points scored in a playoff, while Tom Brady has the record for most passing yards in a playoff game. So, Shannon, when you consider both of these all-time greats, who is more clutch?
Skip, I'm going to try to explain this the best way I possibly can. Because football, there is no tomorrow. Hopefully I can provide some context for people. An NFL playoff game is a game 7 in every other sport in North America. Hockey, basketball, baseball. That's what football is, because it's finite. You know, you lose game 1, Skip. You remember the 91 finals against the Lakers. The Bulls lost the first game. So had that been football, it was over. They would have lost the finals. Tom Brady played 41 game 7s. And I think he won 30 of those games, or 31 of those games. So let that sink in for a second. Imagine Michael Jordan played 5 game 7s. He's 3-2. Tom Brady played 41 game 7s. Because that's what football playoff is. There is no tomorrow. There is no, man, we had an off game, but, we'll come back, we'll regroup, we'll get them. Tomorrow is next year. That's what an NFL playoff game. I said all of that, and Tom Brady has been clutch beyond clutch.
And Mike, like I said, you've seen it all. People get caught up in talent, and they get obsessed with GOAT. It's all this GOAT talk all the time. GOAT this, GOAT that. As a guy who played in the era with a bunch of Hall of Famers, who stood by and saw Montana when you were in the 80s before you got to the league, even go 4 Super Bowls, 4 wins, no losses. Do you think Brady is the greatest to ever do it?
Brady is embarking upon touching the greatest athlete, period, across sports with what he's doing right now. And, he goes, if he wins this Super Bowl and he has the same team coming back again and do it again, we're leaving talking about him being the greatest quarterback. We're talking about comparing him to the greatest athlete, period, to ever live.
So, I mean, if you could bottle something, though, and say that, to a kid coming out of college, here, drink this, because this is what Tom Brady has, right? Like, if you could somehow, some way, boil that conversation, boil that point that you just made about he knows how to handle everything in the moment perfectly for his teammates.
If we start to look at the AFC Championship games against Jacksonville, that they're down 20-10 going to the fourth quarter, and he throws for 138 with 12 stitches in the palm of his throwing hand, and they come back and win that game. And then the AFC Championship game at Kansas City against Mahomes in the first big go-around, he converts 3 straight 3rd and 10s in overtime. That's impossibly great. And then the Legion of Boom in the Super Bowl, 124 yards passing in the fourth quarter and 2 touchdowns, brings them back from 24 to 14 down. And then the Atlanta Super Bowl, 246 yards passing in the fourth quarter and overtime, but you can't remember a one of them. Right. You can't, because there's no signature.
And obviously he's not infallible. We have seen him beaten in regular and postseasons before, but it just seems that I know about the fire that burns within and the competitor that it does require to have a bust in the same room that you have one in Canton, Troy, but can you break it down for me in any of the XO's conversations you've had with Tom, or just watching the film that you saw last night? Something that can actually come up with a way to show Brady's greatness in the moment.
But if you talk about one game for your life, I'm going to go Tom.
No. Hold on.
Game.
What game? So
that's 4 quarters of game.
So you will take Tom Brady over Mike in a game.
And especially one season for your life, the longer the expanse of time, the more I'm going to take Tom Brady.
Well, I think a great example of it, Rich, is in the NFC Championship game that we had against the Packers. Mm-hmm. They had a 5-point lead. They're right on the verge. They're right within field goal range. I mean, they couldn't afford to take a sack. And I commented on it before the snap of the ball that, Brady cannot take a sack. He knows that better than anybody, right? Because I just know how his mind works and how he's not going to make a mistake like that in that area, knowing how important those 3 points were. Well, the ball snapped, and immediately he has a free rusher in his face, and he doesn't try to get away from him. He doesn't try to, he just immediately throws it at the receiver's feet. And it to a lot of people, it looked odd. Like, wow, almost as though there was a penalty or a false start on the play. The ball came out that fast. And it was just a great example of him just not going to risk taking a sack and taking his team out of field goal range, knowing how important those 3 points were. And it's little things like that within the game. I've said many times that when you start a game as a quarterback, when you're playing in a 0-0 game, or if in the fourth quarter you're playing with a 7-point lead or a 10-point lead or a 5-point all those things, you play the game differently. You don't take the same risks. You understand how your defense is playing, and all of that has to, as a quarterback, all of that has to be factored in as to what you then have to do as the quarterback of the team to try to move the football or to try to come away with points or just simply not lose it. And I just feel that there's a lot of that art. I don't know how much of that is truly coached. Whereas when you're talking about guys, that are successful on a consistent basis, and since we're talking about Tom Brady, those guys, he understands it. He understands those little nuances and gives his team the best chance to win in every given situation. We saw that from Peyton Manning throughout his career.
Who's greater between Tom Brady and Peyton Manning? Tom Brady, clearly, because Peyton Manning choked under pressure, and Tom Brady went from just staying the same under pressure to, in recent years, getting impossibly even better under pressure. He jumped out of the Kobe Bryant, Derek Jeter level of clutch into the Michael Jordan level of clutch. Like, oh, my God, you're this good normally and even better under pressure? As a former player, it's something that I've always admired about Tom Brady and the way that he plays the game, and I love watching it on display. And he's just a really smart, headsy player, a guy who doesn't move particularly well, never has, but yet he's been so efficient in being able to get the most out of his ability and be I said it after he won his 5th Super Bowl, the best that's ever done it. And it's hard to imagine that anybody's ever going to be able to do it better.
Think about what happened. I'm sitting in the press box on January 19th of 2002 covering the Raiders, and I thought they were really good. It's John Gruden's Raiders they would go under Bill Callahan the next year to the Super Bowl. But I thought they were a Super Bowl-looking team at this point. So I picked him to win this game against this 6th-round pick in his first year of starting. Right. And I had overlooked the fact that 6th-round pick was 11-3 as a starter after he took over for Drew Bledsoe, who was 0-2 at that point. Right. And yet everything got marred that night by one play that happened, sort of mid-4th quarter, and it was the wrong call. It got overturned, and Tom fumbled the football, and it got reversed, and it saved the game because it wasn't mid-4th. It was actually like a minute and 50.
It was like, it was really late,
So my point
it was under the 2-minute warning.
Yes. So the point was that what got overlooked, what got obliterated was all the controversy of the Tuck rule. Meanwhile, in the second half, he's thrown for 238 yards in the snow. It's snowing cats and dogs up in Foxborough. He throws for 238 in the second half. And guess what he did in overtime? He goes 8 for 8 for 45 yards and sets up a chip shot field goal in the snow for Vinatieri.
That's what Aaron Rodgers was hoping for.
Okay.
He was hoping for that kind of game that Tom Brady got in New England against the Raiders.
I got it. But then he goes to the Super Bowl, and the numbers are pedestrian at best. But at the end of the game, they don't shut him down. They let him try for it, and he completes 5 straight huge passes to beat the St. Louis Rams. And the key one was the 4th pass because it went for 23 yards with 29 seconds left to set up a 54-yard field goal. Then he hits a 6-yard pass to Jermaine Wiggins, tight end like you. And that sets up upset at the buzzer, and here we go.
That's it for this video. I post a new Tom Brady video every day, so please like and subscribe. That way you'll always have a new Tom Brady video to watch every single day.